Starting live video. Okay, we're up.
Hey!
So he's back. I'm back.
I'm back.
It's day 2. Little low energy right now after a very long, incredible day in Indianapolis. This is HIV is Not a Crime 3.
Greg.
Yeah, right, but tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
Greg Cody from Columbus, Ohio.
Yep, and this is your first.
My first.
Cherry popped. He's good. Obviously, from yesterday.
Dorian-Gray Alexander from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Awesome. And obviously Ken Pinkela from New York, but the SERO Project and the wonderful people here. It really has been. I'm going to be blunt. I'm exhausted, probably a little bit mentally and physically, running around today. From the behind the scenes stuff, did 2 panels, and it was a full day. Today was our first full day, and it is.
I could sign.
It's a. It's emotional. We just came out of a pretty good session that really stirs and asks some very hard questions that I think even people outside, not involved in the HIV community, it would be pretty challenging, and that's what we do amongst ourselves to make ourselves better and to.
Cathartic.
Yeah, and that catharsism
With
that
a C.
comes to making yourself uncomfortable. If you haven't done it, do it. Find that piece that makes you uncomfortable.
Find your own pain.
Deliberately put yourself in it to find the courage to do it, because when you come out on the other side, you're gonna be better. You're gonna be a better person. So since we talked yesterday, I'll start with Doug on the end. Doug. Greg. Yeah, I already
He used to be Doug, and then he had
to the
changed.
operation.
I already had the yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just I really am a little out of it. Which is good, but I'm going to get live in a second. So yesterday, what we did, and we're going to try today, is since this is your first, I personally want to know, why did you come?
You know, and that's funny. He asked me the same question.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? Why?
Yeah.
You know, I found it interesting because I've been positive for 32 years.
32.
32.
Wow.
The test came out in January of '85. I was diagnosed June of '86.
Wow.
So I've gone a gamut of prevention, care, treatment, teaching at the university, education, advocating, advocacy, and I like to work on the law.
Yep.
I thought this would be an interesting, and so I had the opportunity, and I put in the scholarship, and he gave it to me.
Right.
I thought, this is totally different.
Right.
You know, in the early days, we used to fight for the pocket of money.
Right.
And the energy was really negative. Because everybody was fighting for the same pocket of money.
Resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you come to this, and it's amazing, the energy, the support, the eye contact, the sharing, the caring that you don't see everywhere else.
Yeah. Did you, you really are a long-term survivor, I hope you enjoy that or embrace that term.
I do, it's a long-term thriver.
Yeah, thriver, yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That is.
Have you, from what you're experiencing here now, from obviously the early days of the 80s, when you were first diagnosed, through the 80s, through the 90s, where do you see the movement? This is just criminalization, but where do you see the support for HIV and AIDS?
I don't.
Wow, yeah.
I really don't. It's not like it used to be. People aren't there for each other.
Right.
They're too busy in a world with their heads on their phones and hiding behind the mask.
Right.
There's nowhere to let it out.
Being on Facebook.
This is an opportunity, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
The openness that's in this room.
Yeah.
Look, we're all here fighting for the same thing. Because if we don't, there's a chance that we will be talking to each other in between bars.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go back that direction.
Right.
So as Sean pointed out today, that in 1995,
Right.
he expressed that we didn't stop caring. We stopped caring as much because we went on with living our lives.
Right,
We had
living, yeah.
we had drugs. We had treatment at that point, and so the urgency, I think, left.
Right.
And now that things are sort of beginning to shift, and we now are facing and you've experienced criminalization.
Yep.
I think that there is this sense of, hey, maybe we need to address this, and here we are.
Yeah. Have you heard? And it's not just Sean, but Sean has been echoing it with some of the other, folks that have been, stood up in the ACT UP years and reflecting back to the ACT UP years, the early years, and just pointing that out. And it's this word networking. We don't know how to, and this is almost a society reflection. You made a reference to the phones. Now, but yet here we are using a piece of technology, but this is networking in people who care or are concerned or can't be here, or people that are here
It's
that
a
are somewhere else.
connection.
It is a
It's a
connection.
powerful tool, though.
But this is a networking tool.
Yeah.
But in
can't
our
beat
personal lives,
It's a disconnect.
oh, hi, thanks, Brittany. Thanks, Clifford. I see Brittany. Yeah, so we've got the karaoke going on in the back, and we'll try to talk a little louder for you, but thank you. We heard that last night, too. In solidarity from Canada, absolutely. Canadians were great today with Alex. But
Yes. You know
we
what?
don't know how to interact personally anymore.
Were you around when the buddy systems were in place?
In the military?
No, in
In the HIV epidemic?
No.
When people were dying, people would get together for the caretakers and go over and sit with the individual who was dying in bed.
Yeah.
I sat beside people,
Yeah.
breathing with them.
Yep.
emotional.
Absolutely,
Praying
you should.
that they didn't die on my watch.
Yep. Let it be the next guy or the next person
please,
that came
just,
in.
Just stay awake.
I've
Just 30
heard
more
that-
minutes, please, please. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with another death.
I've
I have
heard
a friend
that
who was a
story.
pallbearer at 54 of his friends' funerals.
Yep.
54.
54 is a big number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we were the community was a close-knit community.
Right.
And then when you're hit with HIV and AIDS, and it's the lesbians who are your support system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I tell you, I think that's why those guys, and I hope you don't mind when I say your generation, you need to see us experience, and I've heard Peter, of course, Peter Stately, we live up together in New York and Pennsylvania. That's my HIV support group, by the way.
I bet.
I've had people say, "Can we come?" They say, "Who's in your support groups?" And me, Sean Strube, Peter
Sean,
Stately.
Peter, you.
You know, so,
Yeah,
Matt
that's pretty
Ebert, there's
awesome.
some great
Oh, Matt,
people.
yes.
So anyway, but it's just a quick aside. But it's even that we get together once a month. Even those guys, we get together once a month just to check in with each other. In this reminder that it took Peter says this, and it was brilliant. We don't die anymore, so the death
Right.
isn't there. To allude to what you went through.
Right, and the urgency is not there.
Right, right.
Because we're not dying.
That's
we are
right.
living. And because of the access to treatment,
Right?
we can have HIV and no one knows.
Yep.
But there is a lonely side to that for
Yes.
many folks with HIV, and it gets very sad for folks.
Yep. No, it's that piece of this networking is teaching how to come together again.
Just
come
take your one
together.
pill.
Yeah.
I was taking 52.
Right.
I was on AZT.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
And you survived that.
I survived.
Yep.
And-
My cousin did not.
Yeah.
My cousin was one of the first 5 in the city that were diagnosed and documented. And, and I can remember that. And those are things I always remember. I talked about it the other day. I remember that as a kid. I remember him moaning and dying.
Wow.
I can remember that.
Pretty awesome.
Yep, remember that. And it is. I just remember that. We grew up on a farm, and death and birth and sex and things were normal on a farm. Kind of get.
Yeah.
But that I won't forget that. I won't forget that.
No.
So I can't imagine what it was like to experience it with your friends and your loved ones.
Yeah, you
But
can-
it was that networking. You guys came together, even in the time of death. But now we forget how to come together in the time of living.
Yeah, we do.
In the time of living.
Yeah, we really do.
And it's taken an issue like HIV criminalization for us to remind each other we need to come back together and that it's HIV. We talked the other day. It's HIV that brought us together. It's HIV that is loving and caring and non-prejudicial and non-discriminatory, but yet
The virus doesn't care.
Yeah, the virus doesn't care. The virus loves us, but we find ways of, I call it othering others. We just find ways, whether it's racial, whether it's sex, whether it's body shaming, age shaming. We find ways to do it. The HIV doesn't do it. It doesn't care. It loves you equally, equally.
So you suppress it.
Yeah. So the how was your day?
Actually, it was good. Like I said, the energy was very powerful.
Yeah.
Coming in and not knowing what to expect, and I go to a lot of things by myself. I
Right.
really do, and you're just walking down the hall and you're smiling.
Right.
And people are smiling back at you. When I went to my first healing weekend, which is what happens with OAC, my friend said to me, "Remember the way you feel when you're walking in this event for 2 days, because it was a time to get away with people who are HIV positive." And then, so Saturday afternoon, I said to her, "I know what you're talking about. I know that feeling of connectedness, of sharing, of being together in a place where, even though you talked about being different, there is a connection. You have a hook with somebody."
Yep.
And I felt that this weekend,
That's
yesterday,
deep.
and today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That really is.
I'm not
Especially,
alone.
and from your perspective, that you're even being reminded that you're not alone.
Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty powerful.
it really is. Yeah.
So of the topics today, we had 3 plenaries and 2 breakout sessions. What did you get from today?
The stories of the individuals impacted by the criminalization law, I could relate that to some of my stories. Being gay and open about making comments, and then all of a sudden it comes back to bite you, and people take it the way that they want to, because people want to be victims, and we set ourselves up being open and honest
Yep.
for that to happen. And because of that, then we pull back, and then we're victimized because we pulled back and we're afraid to really open up.
Yeah.
And that's scary. That's not the way we should live our lives.
No.
We should live openly and honest and be our authentic selves.
Right.
The only thing we should trip over is a rug,
Right.
not what we keep hiding underneath the rug.
Yeah. Do you know how many people I know in my life don't understand that phrase of what we mean by saying living your authentic self, living who you are, be who you are. We are constantly looking for ways to fit in, to change ourselves, to look the same, dress the same, express ourselves the same instead of in our own individuality. It's really amazing. People don't know what
No,
that
they
means. They really don't know what that means. Hey, so day 2 for you.
Day 2 for me. I liked the panel on surviving criminalization. It was very, very powerful. And then what was our next panel? Our next panel was about,
MIPA?
MIPA,
That's
meaningful
the one.
involvement for
People
people
living with AIDS.
with AIDS. I sort of think I live that now, but it was nice to be reminded at some of the times when I think we're sort of left out of the discussion,
Right. Right.
and left out of the process.
Right.
And as Barb, said. So they asked us to do all these things. We asked to take surveys and be on committees and be on panels, show us some money, pay us for our time and our expertise, because we are experts about living with HIV, what it means to us, but ask us to do all these surveys, be on committees, be interviewed, to go tell our stories to legislators and so to write letters and email. But the money doesn't come down to the people living with HIV except in rare occasions. Most of them go to agencies and grants that are great because they provide services and also care for us.
Right.
But at the same time, we're benefiting in non-financial ways, which is great. But the finances would also help.
Okay,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
would,
yeah.
but okay, say someone was walking and you hold the door for them and they don't say thank you.
I always say that.
No, but that's what we're talking about. They don't say thank you to you. Are you mad because they didn't say thank you to you? Because you
I'm
think
not
it's the
mad at
right thing
all.
to do? I mean, okay, do you find that annoying? It's like, nah, see? Nah.
I
And
do.
I do too. 'Cause
I do.
say, and I'll say to you, you're welcome.
Right.
Okay, now then, the question
Passive
is,
aggression.
did I open a door for the thank you, or did I open a door because it's the right thing to do?
You did it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And exactly,
So,
serving on these boards, okay,
Uh-huh.
so you make the best out of the situation. You are impacted by HIV and AIDS.
of course.
Okay?
Of
That
course.
doesn't mean you should be paid because you're impacted by HIV and AIDS.
No.
And that's exactly what they're referring to. Oh, you can't do anything unless you get paid. And I disagree with that because it should be an altruistic, self-serving purpose. The money's nice, and I'm
There
not
is,
saying
which is why
I'm not
I-
saying my hand's not out
I
taking
do it for free.
But to say, oh, you should, and we're not getting anything out of it, you are.
Right.
You have people die for you. You have people fight for you.
Correct.
And so you,
Correct.
I'm sorry, and this may sound wrong, but you're obligated. Because you're still alive today. Because those people came before you. I am obligated
True.
by the people who came before me who aren't here today.
But it's not. But the staff of the agencies are just as obligated to do the work and the services. They get paid.
Okay, that's a job that they could have went to school for, that they went to,
Yeah.
learn, that they put themselves into, and
Yeah.
you can apply for that job too.
Yeah, but the structures, the system is often, and trust me, I'm fine in terms of finances, which allows me to do all of my work and my service.
Yeah.
But for many folks with HIV, they are not as privileged as I.
You're right, and
am.
I understand it, and I understand economic differences. I do,
Yes.
I truly do, and I am about giving to the individuals who are giving back for the right reasons. But just because, oh, give me this because, so like I'm working on World AIDS Day in Columbus, so I asked
Okay.
one of the girls who works in the office, who's an artist. I said, would you do this? She's like, well, how much are you going to pay me for it? I'm like, nothing. I do it myself.
Yeah,
And she's not. She's put on. I was
fine.
like, you know what? I'm not mad at you, but I'm not going. Well, I should be paid for my services. No, you know what? Somebody will pay you for it, but I'm not going to be the one. I
And that's
asked
fine.
you to do this, and and so the same. Don't use that as a reason to stand up and argue and fight. And I'm not saying you directly,
No.
but
or
you
else
know,
I
it's like-
wouldn't do it.
yeah, and it's like that's not the purpose, And
It
research,
isn't the purpose.
yeah, we want to pay for people to come in to do 2 hours of blood work, to have the blood put into a machine for 3 hours, so we can check the blood, because that's some of the research stuff we do, and we want to compensate for you for something like that. But every time we turn around, your hand's reaching out to take, but are you really giving back? There's got to be a
But there are plenty of people living with HIV who are giving back.
yes, and I'm not diminishing
They
that.
are, and it would be also nice if we created employment opportunities for people to work or to return to the
Right.
workforce. That's not there.
No, it isn't, because
That's
and
what,
some of them
what
don't want
I'm
to. Some
saying.
of them are in that cycle of staying in that cycle. My ex-partner would say, I said, I'm going to meetings. He's like, are you getting paid for it? I'm like, no. He's like, well, why are you going? I said, because I need to.
Yeah.
And maybe I come from a different place. And so, you're right. I mean, there's a fine line. There's a line. And
I don't know if
so-
the line is there or not.
No, there's a line where you say, is this for free? And you're right, I should be compensated. I should be educated, I should be taught. And you should, if you're sending me to these conferences, you should be utilizing me, not just paying just so your name can be on that roster. And because now I'm your token. Yeah.
So let me ask about the day then. What? Yeah, we're gonna switch off that one. That was good. I mean,
was
because
good.
it is, and that's what this place is for. Is you got to have
Right.
these discussions.
So,
what panels did you go to?
The panels.
And the breakouts. We had 2 breakout
The
sessions.
breakouts. The first one I went to states that don't have HIV criminalization laws. What do we do about those?
States that do not.
Do not.
Right.
Yeah.
And the discussion was how they are still activated to ensure that laws don't pop up on the books.
Correct.
Yeah,
It-
and that's a big deal. You just
Right,
have
and
to
that's one approach.
same techniques, bird dogging, paying attention.
Bird doggers.
Just because it's
We
not
love
there
you.
right now doesn't mean it's going to be there tomorrow, or it's
Gotta
going to be
stay
slipped into some
gotta stay
bill.
vigilant.
Yep. What did you go to in the
Well,
breakout?
it's the same one as he did,
How about
yeah.
the second one? Did you go to the second breakout?
The second one was an agency that was talking about what they do, and I can't remember what it was called because we were trying to figure it out. And it was interesting, but it wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but you went to something different.
Yeah.
I had the panel on UCMJ military
Oh, great.
criminalization today, and it was.
How was it?
I'm telling you, it was actually wonderful.
It was doing two.
It was myself, Allison Nichol,
Okay.
Scott Shottis,
Okay.
and Anthony, the new guy. I feel bad, Anthony. I'll get your name one of these days.
With a P.
Yes.
Pizarro.
Right. He is the new law intern in LA for
great.
Lambda Legal. Part of the new 2 lawsuits that Lambda and OutServe SLDN just filed. So great interactions. People are going to learn.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you
but
for
they're
your
going to learn
service.
just how unique and how screwed up military law really is.
Yeah.
So a lot of people became very enlightened to the discriminations that are illegal. They're actually legal to happen. But anyway, and then I personally went the second one to research and how research can be used in our win to defeat and fight HIV criminalization.
Correct, because we do need data.
Yes, it is. It's data, and it's how that data can be used, and not to overwhelm people, because not everybody is a data wonk.
No.
Not everybody is programmed to understand even all of the data.
But it's fun.
But you can take that data, not twist it, but break it down into usable chunks to possibly go to a legislator, possibly go to a community meeting. That research is the basis. And we did talk about Susan Mull. That's so funny. She woohoo. We did talk about all the current studies that really have come out, not just supporting U equals U, but those studies, U equals U was gleaned out of those studies. The partner study,
58,000 sex acts.
Yeah, there was. Yep.
2,
Yep.
3.
There were so many people in there that
Oral.
obviously we know that, but people that
Anal.
don't know the partner study,
Vaginal.
58,000 documented
Sex acts.
sex acts
Between people
over a decade, between people of
that didn't have HIV
discordant. We call them serodiscordant.
and those that
one
do.
positive, one negative, and not one single documented instance of infection. Transmission. Well, actually, no, the actual infection. Well, they label this as transmission. You're right, because the infections that did occur phylogenetically, they're able to disqualify them that it did not come from the partner. It came from outside the partnership.
That never happens.
Right, but it is amazing. And then, of course, the second study specifically on MSM, which I hate these labels, but anyway, studying of men who have sex with men instead of just, I don't know what the actually call that. Yeah, that would be great, actually. Thank you. We have people. It's wonderful. She's just saying they're doing karaoke next door, and maybe that's going to help with the sound. Love you, Davina. That probably is going to help. That should probably help big time. Anyway, there was another nearly 18,000 cases. Once again, phylogenetically proven. No transmissions. Any infections that did happen were phylogenetically pinpointed, or at least disqualified outside the relationship. So
It's funny because I'm starting to, because language matters.
yes,
So I like to use the term someone shared their HIV with someone else. It is a sharing, right? Unless it's a forced act, they're sharing. They are consenting to have some pie. Do you know what pie is?
nope.
Do you know what pie is?
2.14.
Well, close.
I was going to go there, but I didn't want to.
Physical, intimate encounters.
A physical, intimate encounter. I'm military.
You want a piece of
and
pie?
Oh my God, that's so funny. And that's we're going to acronize that too,
Right,
huh?
right. And when they're sharing some pie, wink, wink, things, the things get shared, like, aunt syphilis, uncle gonorrhea, cousin chlamydia.
Yeah. So
Who
James
knows?
James Taylor I disagree with some of the things about not being able not to receive some type of stipend. I'm going to do this. I think I can see more. Sorry, but we're going to take your question. I disagree with some of the things about not being able not to receive some type of stipend. It is easy for many people who get paid, including myself as staff. Many people who are living with HIV/AIDS do need help for any service they choose. Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I agree. I
absolutely
totally disagree
Yep,
with that.
Yep.
And in my job, I'm a non-medical case manager.
Right.
And I have clients who say, "Well, I don't want to abuse the system." I'm like, "You're not abusing the system
Right.
by allowing me to provide these services to you." Because listen, if we do not provide these services, that's money that's not spent.
Right.
They're going to take that back.
Yes,
So
yes.
you are
Money.
serving it bigger by utilizing the systems that are out there
Right.
to help you. And I'm here to help you.
Right. Yeah, so you're talking to the federal dollar guy here. A lot of people don't understand that. In the federal budgeting, when you're given, an appropriation, a pot of money, we call them pots. When you're given a pot of money that's been based off of some built requirements, and I don't want to get into those details, but you've said, this is what I'm going to do, this is the funding, they argue, they draw a line, that's your funding. If you don't spend that in that year, we call it year of execution, you lose it the next year.
Use it or lose it.
You actually lose it. It's a ding against you.
Ryan White
Right.
counsels. Spend your money.
That's right. And it's critical because you've based that requirement off of some number, off of some statistical or data point that you've reached out, you provided care, you've brought in, and we put dollars next to that. And if you don't,
That's right.
you lose it.
Yeah.
So no, those are great points.
What did they say?
I agree. Spend the money to help those impacted. Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So,
And it is.
so there was another panel this morning around the North Carolina administrative change in their
Oh yeah, that's right. The explanation of North Carolina's success.
their success. So in essence, they made a change in an administrative part of disease control, which affected folks with HIV. It was very restrictive, and they got that to be changed. But in the change, they then decided, because it was the right timing to make this change, to ask for this change, that people who are virally suppressed would not be charged with the law on their books. I'm not getting it exactly right, but that's the short end of it.
Right. People who achieve viral suppression were taken off.
Right.
Sadly, and it was a risk, and they explained that position of taking a small win, acknowledging that there is still some vulnerability, but they can come back for it, they hope. And there's a fear within the community.
Yeah, because of the viral
Right, people that possibly either don't have direct access now, or are for whatever reason not on meds. We know many people who go off them for whatever reason, or sadly
they don't have access to.
Right, there are people, even though they're on meds, we've heard this, that almost
never
everybody can
achieve viral
achieve it,
suppression.
but there are some people, very rarely so, and I hate to say this, but we've heard it really is in the long-term survivor or people that haven't known, because the resistance has built so high, and that's why the idea that we want new drugs in the pipeline, because it is a virus. That virus wants to live like any other living
and at a
being.
reasonable,
It
affordable
changes.
price.
And
Right.
what you're doing is
Our
you
friends at
again
Pharma.
marginalizing the economically challenged,
That's
because
right.
they can't get to the doctor's appointment.
Possibly, that's
they
right.
can't get the medications.
Right.
They can't pay those co-payments.
Right,
Because they don't have jobs.
right,
Just saying.
right.
And so again, here
Right.
we go again.
You know what just came through my mind is, as I ran for office last year, this unbelievable cavern between the two camps of the left and the right, that they don't, even though the right will say they're so fiscally conservative, but they don't get this picture.
Selectively.
Right, but they don't get this picture of the strategic long-term investment in healthcare truly will save us money over time.
Yeah.
Because as you
Always
get
does.
people healthy, which doesn't happen overnight, you actually decrease the money going out to keep it. You got to get them healthy, and they just don't get it, and it really impacts this community more than any other. But I'm just using us as the example. If we don't get people on HIV meds, you will never truly get control of, and I'm going to talk fiscally now, the dollars that need to be expended in the overall care of every single person living with HIV. Economically superior or economically challenged, whatever you want to call it, people that can pay for it, they don't need to have to pay for it. They could go into other expenses in their life. People that can't pay for it, possibly wouldn't have to worry about it because they're, they can utilize it for other instances. They just don't get the economics, and they say they're part of the economic.
Well,
fiscal
we also need the prices of.
Oh yeah, now we're bringing in a whole
drugs
nother intersectional
to
piece
be
is the
lower.
pharmaceutical prices.
Yeah.
Why
Our
are the
friends at
Americans
Pharma.
why are the Americans spending so much money on the same friggin' pill
For
I
poor
take for
health
somebody else, right?
outcomes, yeah.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
Right. The economics just don't get it, but it's amazing how in the HIV community all this shit comes together.
Yeah.
You
It really
know
does.
You're live. You just said the S.
I don't care. It's my live feed. I'm a proud New Yorker.
Yeah, there you go.
So, how was the day? I already did it. So I didn't have.
Yeah, I mean,
so how was your day?
Oh, it was good. There was a lot of discussion,
Right.
and the panels were good and thorough.
Right.
It's just a lot of information to know, a lot of approaches.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, went to a breakout session around creating language that might be used to change laws,
Yep.
because laws are words.
Yep.
So what is the language? What do you do? What kind of case do you make? It was with three attorneys.
Yep.
And so they broke down things like intent to harm, risk of harm, what circumstances that you may want to consider writing into draft legislation that might reduce the effect of these laws across the U.S.
Yep.
In large part, trying to narrow the number of people who are going to be criminalized by these laws, and then of course the question of should there be no laws like this? Many of us feel that no disease state should be criminalized, and some don't. So that's why we're here to help craft and to draft ways of going back home and talking to folks like you and to people affected by HIV because of a partner or else a loved one, and also ways to talk to our friends at the legislature who are wonderful people deep down inside. They don't always show it, but they mean well, and they have power to create silly laws and wreak havoc. But it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your day today?
It's really funny you said because I'm literally processing things right now.
Okay.
Day one for us, and I say us, for Robert and Monique, and Shane was upstairs. He couldn't make it downstairs. The other gentleman, James, just got out of jail. Day one for us now, the third time around. I have to admit, it's hard. It's hard. We've lived our stories. We told people, we didn't necessarily tell our stories this year because we have told our stories. Sadly, we've had new people we've had to bring into the fold of the survivors group.
Yeah.
And we do, with absolute love and care, and, we are the ones who can talk to them. But it's always a little emotional because I trigger it. It triggers me.
You shared today about a trigger you had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was freaky. I cannot believe I triggered on that. I didn't think anything
You
about
want
it.
to share what?
Yeah. So I on the panel today, I had to share because it was really something about, we decided to talk about what's next. Can we survive? We survive, we want to live. And in the university, it's a university, they shut down at night, there's different corridors that are locked, it was the weekend. And I was going back over to our room that we call our operations room, the central operations for the conference. And it was early morning, and we were supposed to have our room open by 7:30. So the Army guy gets up early, shit, shower, shave, go across, go in through the push-out doors. I don't care. Go in through the panic bars. They call them panic bars. Go in there. Door closes behind me, and on the other end, it's the handles. It's not panic bars. And I realized that I'm actually trapped inside.
You locked yourself in.
I got locked in a corridor, and you wouldn't think anything of it. And I have no idea other than maybe that's how I was mentally being here again.
I mean, dude,
About 20 minutes later, I tell you, I looked down the long axis of the long corridor over there, and I'm telling you, I had a moment that you see the walls. If you've never been trapped, but I was in the walls. I was trapped in the walls just for that split second, and it bothered me. I can't believe it.
Nine months.
Only 9 months. I mean, I know, but it's still. I spent. Yeah.
That's 9 months of your freedom.
Right.
So,
Right. But still, it was a moment. It's amazing for me that bothered me. Yeah.
Why? I mean, I don't understand why you would not be moved by that, because it's that flashback, the reflection of that time when you lost and you didn't have control.
Right.
And it's that feeling of
right.
complete.
Right. So, I think what some people, for me, it is not different. Each of ours is different. My hope ended in 16. Initially, the appellate phase ended. And it's been a year and a half, and you try to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and live. And I tell you, there are mornings, I still cry in the mornings, every day. Every day. Something about the water when I take a shower in the morning.
The freedom.
Every day, I don't know what it is. Something always comes over me. I always say my grandparents are with me, and they allow me to kind of keep going. And the energy in places like this really will give me a boost for a few months. Something will happen again because there are so many barriers that are just so hard to explain to people. I was glad that I was able to remember to talk about even just travel. I take that for granted because I traveled on congressional delegations. I had a black passport, my red passport, and my blue passport. I had them all. And I used to travel the world. And I go to South Africa to be part of the international AIDS. I come home to my own country, and I am locked in a room detained for 5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours.
With nobody telling me why. Even when they let me go, the guy was a complete asshole, didn't talk to me, just basically wanted to know, why is this address? And I think it was because of the Virginia, when I was released, I was in Virginia, and I had a New York driver's license. In Virginia tried to put me on a sex offender list. And I moved back home to New York. New York did the right thing. They reviewed my case and went, no. Yeah. So luckily, I don't have to live with that, but it could happen at any time.
Right.
But
and
I think that was it because, oh, by the way, I know I have an Interpol tick. I'm military, plus I know the Interpol system. I was convicted in a federal court. I have an Interpol. I have a mark. So that's why I was detained. And the lady, when I went to check my passport, the lady at the passport, and this is how this woman, talked to me. It's just, oh, I see you were a bad boy. That's how the woman talked to me right as I'm coming home from international AIDS. I've got a chip. No, it was no flirt. It was an old woman. And she goes, oh, I see you were a bad boy. Well, I can't let you through. I have to walk you to the back. No other reason. You were a bad boy.
Yeah.
Really? What? I mean, I won't say the word because I'm just like, anyway.
I was mama.
So these
Let me
for
show
me,
you how.
These for me sometimes get me going. I have my reoccurring dreams of my accuser, who I only met twice in my life. Never alone. I vacillate to harm, and I vacillate to forgiveness. I'm still in that stage where I want his family to suffer as much as my family has suffered.
Yeah.
I want him, I have moments where I think he's going to do the right thing, and as I speak out, the guilt is going to raise in him that he will just freaking finally admit that he lied and let me have my life back, and I will fight for him not to have to, look, you deal with the guilt for the rest of your life. Just give me my life back.
So-
Give me my retirement back. Let me live.
right.
Let me
Yeah.
freaking live. That's all I want.
So I think the point that you all were trying to make today was that even once your case is sort of resolved, whatever that is, whatever phase that is, this continues to affect your life
Every day.
It will.
It affects your life
Every day.
in terms of for some folks in terms of employment, where they can live and be housed, whom they can be around, because a sexual offense registry all means the same to most folks. They don't delineate that it was because you were charged with a failure to disclose your HIV status.
That's right.
They see a sex offense.
Right.
And I don't know what that feels like, but that must be awful to be looked at. So each time that you show your ID, say at a bar, or else an airport,
Right.
and it has stamped across there, sexual offender.
I've heard people say out of the first HIV is Not a Crime video that we made, the most powerful thing is when they see Robert's driver's license. With that exact phrase on there. His driver's license stamped sex offender. And let me ask you this, and please answer this. When you hear the word sex offender, what do you think of? Honestly, what comes to mind? Sex offender.
A pedophile.
Child.
Yes.
Somehow
Yeah.
that a child was harmed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it's like to have that label when either my case didn't have sex, Robert's case consensual sex with his partner, Tiffany, who we talked about, a sex worker paid to have sex consensually, and we get labeled, those guys now are labeled forever, the first connotation, because of the original intent of sex offender registration was to protect children. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we can have that discussion at some time, but now they just lump everybody into this, and that's how you're labeled for life.
Right.
For life.
But there is no such label for a murderer.
That's right.
So
Right.
you don't have to send out a postcard that says,
Right.
"Well, I killed five folks, and I'm going to move right down the street."
That's
There
right.
is no notice.
That's right. Yeah, that is a creepy.
That's
That
is
a creepy
ridiculous.
fact. I never thought
it's
of it.
a fact.
Because a murderer could, doing good time, people can repent.
Yeah.
People can get good time and qualify to come out.
Right.
People can, as I told you guys, I hated this word. It's called rehabilitative potential. That the judges
What is
ask
your
you.
rehabilitative
I'm
potential,
telling
young
you,
man?
anyway, we'll have a talk afterwards. Yeah, but that's right. So think about these other
he's been
offenses.
a bad boy.
Yeah, these other offenses
What's
that
the saying?
don't get labeled. Yeah, it
Ah,
is.
it's-
Tiffany,
Yeah.
love you.
Love you, girl.
Love you, girl.
Sorry you're
Absolutely.
not here.
I want to go back to something because I think when you were talking about your experience with the hallway,
Yep.
I could relate because I had heart issues,
Right.
and so for almost 6 months, I could not sleep laying down. I had to sleep in a chair,
Right.
and so occasionally I get that anxiety, and I know that feeling of oh, you want to run, you want that freedom.
Right.
I got to get up, I got to get out of the
Right.
house, I got to do something. Or you're stuck in a car in traffic. No, you don't have that freedom.
Come on in.
And so you expressing, you sharing, made me would just want to walk up and hold you. And just because I could relate. And that's the thing about HIV and these laws is there's a connectedness. Even if we're not the ones that are being persecuted.
Yep.
It's part of us because of that hook we have together.
Yep.
That holds us together.
Yep.
And that's what this weekend
That's
really accentuates.
Yep.
Is that sharing,
Yep.
that coming together.
And I think one of the most powerful moments for me, and it was last time, is when we called Carrie.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
phone.
Every time I get to talk to him,
Yeah.
it's a privilege for me in the back because I'll go in the back and he and I can talk.
Right, and for
Um,
folks who don't know, it's a young man who is in prison for an extremely long time.
30 years. It's okay to talk about it. Own it. Yeah, he's there 30 years.
In the state of Idaho.
Yep. Yep. For literally only for non-disclosure. Non-disclosure, not saying the words. No one was harmed, undetectable. He's a grandfather. He's never seen, well, he has. They've had visitations. But could you imagine 30 years of your life? 30 years because you just didn't tell somebody. And then you have this discussion, does he need to? He can't harm anyone. He can't harm anyone. He's undetectable.
Yeah.
And he's in jail. In jail for 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the most positive, articulate,
He really is.
caring, loving man. It is amazing when I hear him speak. He is always that. He is always that upbeat when he talks to us.
Wow.
He is such a. He for me is an incredible inspiration. I don't know how he does it. I don't.
I get a lot
I don't.
of inspiration from Carrie and from Robert and from you and from Monique and from Tiffany. It's just and Sean. I mean, it's just it's. This is one of the most I think difficult things to imagine, that a disease is criminalized. That's nonsensical.
Yep.
It really is, and we really want you out there to think about this, to talk about this, to really understand that just because I happen to have a virus in my body, that I'm at risk of being arrested just because of that.
Yep.
I don't have to have sex with someone.
Right.
I can be accused of exposing someone because I may have coughed in their direction. I might be bleeding and I failed to tell them, "Oh, I've got HIV." Come on, it's ridiculous. We need these laws changed. We need folks to really understand the nuances around these laws and ways that they can help us change these. So, anyway, I'm tired.
I'm tired.
You're tired. You're
long day.
tired. I don't know how long you're staying live.
I'm gonna call it. It's karaoke night.
Karaoke
so
night.
I'm very grateful for the guys to be here. We're gonna do it again one more time tomorrow. If we find time, I know we have a dinner tomorrow, but we're gonna try to just do a little "Hey, how you doing?" wrap up. But thank you for the folks that came on. We did see that more people watched it after the fact, which
really?
I think is wonderful. Absolutely, because what time is it, and everybody's what they're doing to
Sure.
watch this. So this is out there, and what's nice is it's saved, and they can hear this discussion.
And also
I love
they
that part.
can hear your
Right.
words like the S word and the A word.
Well, I don't know if you saw there was a
Not
guy
during after hours.
No, a guy
yeah.
said. A guy I was on there. He says, that's part of our activism. It's part of it. It's the passion. And it is my passion. If
It
you
is the
can't tell,
passion.
I'm
Yeah.
allowed to be pissed off. Someone lied and sent me to jail because I have a virus.
Yeah.
So I'm allowed to be pissed off, and I own that. But I'm here to make sure, or try to help it never happens again. And so are these guys. So everybody have a great night. We're signing out from Indianapolis, and HIV's not a crime 3. Thanks a lot. See you later. Good
Bye,
night.
guys. Thanks.